Naruto 557, titled Jokey Boy. Okay, right in the beginning, the Tsuchikage is explaining what exactly this endless explosion Jujitsu is all about. And he explains that it's made from oil and water from the Mizukage, and that it's easy to heat up or cool down, and whenever it takes action, it heats up, starts to evaporate, and it creates a cycle of explosions, and then eventually it explodes a bunch of force and devastation. It's also able to manipulate itself, and so it's really deadly. But it's created from oil and water from the Mizukage. So there's the connection there, but he's in a weakened state as we go through this, and so the trick there is that this thing is so dangerous, but if they find him, it's one of those ninjutsus. So this is a very good chapter if you like Gaara, okay? Because this is another chapter which is set up by the last one, 556, which is showing what Gaara can do. Well, I'm going to do a few rants in between here and there. This is a typical, I'd say this is a solid chapter, and it's one that's probably better after you've thought it over, because of imagine the amount of thought if you had to create this every week. Something brand new, and you had to create characters, you had to create their abilities and everything. Every week you had to produce something like this. So, I mean, I think this stuff's pretty incredible. But like I say, this is a solid chapter. This isn't a bad chapter. Okay, I'm gonna rant in and out as we're going through it. Okay, and sure enough, there's a sensory type that finds the Mizukage, and then we go. Then we go ahead and we find out. Here's Gaara goes heads and finds him, and he's like, "Well, I think I'm going to seal you up." And of course, the thing that he's created, that endless explosion clone, if we want to call it that, which I guess Battle of the Clones would have probably been a better thing than Jokey Boy. So anyway, we see Gaara tries to go ahead and he does his pyramid sand thing on the Mizukage after they found him, and they try to seal him. So like, okay, boom, this is going to be done. But the Mizukage is not going to go down easy. He doesn't seem to be too happy about being, or he doesn't seem too worried about, if he's going to get sealed. So he pops his head out of the top of the pyramid. He's like, oh, this makes a good hiding spot. So he's enjoying himself quite a bit here at the expense of everybody. And then his creation, his water oil creation, is right beside him. And basically, what he tells them is, they basically say, hey, why aren't you trying to help us anymore? He's like, you know what? If you can't beat me, you can't beat the boss. You can't beat the person who's pulling all the strings. Naruto or Madara. He doesn't name them, but I mean, if you can't beat me, then you definitely can't beat these other guys, which is true. So we get back into the endless explosion mode. Everybody's running for their life, and it looks pretty awesome, actually. And then we see a grand total of 2 panels with Naruto, and he's not too far away, but he's not there yet, and they see the explosion. So hopefully Naruto will join up with Gaara for the next battle, and then we have a scene where Gaara is so powerful, and then he ends up saving everybody with a giant sand wall made in the image of his mother, who he idolized. So we go into the big battle, and the Mizukage is not really he's not that impressed. He's been able to deal with Gaara's sand. His creation is, just, pretty devastating. And then there's a panel that looks like his creation, the Endless, has created like a weapon, a water weapon or something out of its arm. And it's going to kill Gaara. And then you find out that, guess what? That was a sand clone. Gaara's gotten pretty doggone good with these sand clones. I mean, really excellent at them. So, bam, he takes that, and then Gaara is able to, he uses gold that I guess he got from his father, okay, when he fought him. And he uses the gold mixed in with the water and oil to cool it. So this water and oil, it's to break the cycle of heating and cooling you, the explosions. It heats, boils, it explodes. So by putting the gold in there, it goes ahead and it ends the chain. It stops the explosion. It basically makes the weapon unusable. So Gaara has been absolutely fantastic in this. And like I say, I'm a Gaara fan, and anybody else out there, and if any guys are out there Gaara fans, then this is, absolutely fantastic. But so he goes and he beats Mizukage finally. Mizukage gets him a compliment. He's a golden egg, which I guess that would be a good thing. But so this is a good chapter. Like I said, we get. I've seen the other reviews. I've seen some other reviews and stuff, and I mean, to me, this is a standard chapter. Some people seem to be rating it or putting it in the lower end, but this is Naruto. This is what it is. It's action. If somebody's not into action, then maybe this is boring to them. No, and like I've said, Gaara is my favorite character, so that's going to add to it also. So that's going to make it more enjoyable to me. But this is good. I thought this was good. My only actual complaint is having to spend an entire chapter to set up a chapter. I mean, these are great. 557 is great, but then you had to use 556 to set it up. And I like 555 a lot. But you had to use 554 to set that up. But I mean, whatever. And like I said, I'm not in any rush for this, for us to end the war. I want to see a lot more characters. I'd see a lot more fights. But this is, I believe, the end of the resurrected Kages. I believe this is all of them. So we've done with that. And this is where the questions come out in predictions. At the end of the chapter, it gives absolutely no clue. I mean, really no clue. It's not like a final panel, like last time, here's an explosion, what is it? I mean, literally, what happens next week? And I'm asking this as a question, if you want to put this in comments or whatever. I mean, literally, where does this go next week? What do we... okay, there's Madara and the resurrected Jinkariki out there somewhere. Where are they? What are they doing? And we've talked about this before, but we don't know. There's still no clues. Sasuke, of course. Next chapter. I mean, like I say, there's two panels where you see Naruto. He's catching up. Killer Bee. What was the point? And this has got me kind of interesting. Why have we separated Naruto and Killer Bee? Why did Kishimoto do this? The author of Naruto. Why is he separating them? What's the point? Something's going on here. The writer's doing something by separating, because it's a pretty powerful combination. Let's just admit it. Naruto and Killer Bee. That's a crazy combination of powers right there. I mean, just insane. So is he going to have Killer Bee? He's going to find somebody or run into him? Predictions. What are your predictions? Okay. For next week, for 558, since we had really no clue except for seeing that Naruto's going to catch up with Gaara, what are we going to see? I think we're going to see... Madara. I think next week we're going to see Madara. It's either going to be Madara or Sasuke. Okay, and I think with most fans would probably most fans we'll probably vote to see Sasuke, but I think we're going to see Madara somewhere. I think this thing is starting to, I don't know if wrap up. I think there's quite a bit more to happen, but I think that it's going to step into another stage. I think that he's gone, and some people have already talked about this. I think that the reason we haven't seen him is he's headed somewhere else. He's decided to go do some devastation somewhere else, because I think that, to be honest, he would have already engaged Naruto or Gaara or something on the main battlefields if that was his intention. I think the reason that he hasn't is because he actually is headed out to somewhere else. Now, what would be the objective? Where would Madara go? What would be a goal of his? The Hidden Leaf Village? Does he really care about the Hidden Leaf Village? There is something in the Hidden Leaf Village that he does care about. Now, this is something. Remember, on the walls where, actually, it's in the compound where Sasuke and Itachi lived. There was that. I was going to say a cave. There was. It's not really correct. There was a cave or a tunnel system or an area in there that had writings and stuff about how to piece together the Nine Tails. I believe that's what it was said, and there were some other things in there that you could only see with a Sharingan and a Rinnegan, if I have that correctly. And I don't remember the exact chapter, but I think there was something in there. So I suspect that could be a possibility of where he's going. So I'm going to go ahead and because we haven't seen Madara in quite a while, so I'm going to go ahead and say that I think he's headed out back to the Hidden Leaf Village. I mean, it's possible. It could be. Okay, now if it's Sasuke, well, also I'm asking anybody here, where do you think, if Madara is in the next chapter, where do you think he's headed? Is he just going to the main battle? I think he would have been there already. So, if not, where? I think he's heading to the Hidden Leaf Village. I think he's heading to that cave or facility down there to, go get his information and do whatever, piece together. Because he's only missing two pieces. Killer Bee and Naruto are the only two he's missing, and they're in the battlefield, so he may feel pretty comfortable. Okay, in Sasuke, I've already predicted several chapters ago. I think he's going to run into Kabuto. That's an old prediction. Okay, other than that, the current Raikage, where is he? What's he doing? What's going on there? Where is he at? He and so and of course Kakashi. That's another thing. A lot of people out there, I'm sure you are too. You're like, well, where is he? And you'd like to see him. You'd love to see his character come out and do something, right? I mean, a lot of characters are not due. There's a lot of characters that we have not seen for a while that we would like to see. And like I said, the last 4 chapters, there wasn't a lot of characters in them, and so I think we're ready for some variety. I also would like, if Kishimoto is watching this video, which I kind of doubt, is if we could go back to the style where there's a little, we're mixing it up a little more, instead of spending, 2 entire chapters just solidly, almost completely on the same thing. I like it mixed up a little bit. At least a few little teasers and hints. But anyway, if you would please, I'm an amateur. I'm just someone that really likes it. Naruto, and I think it's awesome. And any Naruto fans, of course, that are watching this, hey, support the community and give it a thumbs up, please. And if you want, you can subscribe or not. But a thumbs up would be awesome. Thank you much, and hopefully we'll have another good chapter next week.